All right, so we've got double inequalities. So hopefully we remember these here. Some of you just got these things the wrong way around, and some of you were not very confident with displaying them on number lines. Actually, so maybe I'll just briefly go through that with you first of all. So this means greater than, this means less than. Remember, if it's got an extra line, it means or equal to. If we've got a range of numbers, so if we want to say between something, then you're going to have something that looks like this. Okay, now when there are these symbols here, it means it does not, okay, does not include these two numbers. So if we were talking about integers, which are obviously whole numbers, between these two numbers, we would start off at -1 and then have 0, 1, 2, and 3. We cannot have the -2 or the 4 because it's these symbols here. When we've got this symbol, we're allowed to include the -1, okay, because it can be included that. And then we've got 0, 1, oops, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, we're not allowed to include 5 because it doesn't have the extra line here. And this range would be 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, because we're allowed to include both of them because of the extra line. Okay, is that good? Hopefully yes. Can't see anyone's faces. Now, sometimes where they're in two separate branches, it means that it's not just a group of numbers in between. It's not a range of numbers. It's completely separate. So this would mean anything less than -3, and this would be anything more than or equal to 1. Now, we obviously can't list those numbers because there's too many to list. So just realize that these are two separate. Now, sometimes we ask to do them on a number line. And some of you were great with this. Some of you, as I say, this is the reason I'm going through it again. So if we're trying to represent this as on a number line, let's start with 0, 1, 2, and 3. We've got this symbol here. Now, I don't know if you recall, but if we've got just the greater than or less than sign, we use an open hole because it doesn't include those numbers. If we've got either of these two signs, it's going to be a closed-in hole, and that's the difference. So if the hole is open or closed is important. Okay, some of you were just merrily putting any old symbol, I think. So here, because the symbol has got the extra line, above this value, the 1, we're going to put a closed hole. Okay, now this means greater than, so we just put a little arrow going this direction because all of these numbers would be greater than 1. Okay, this one here, it's 3, 2, 1, 4. Okay, this one has not got the extra line, so it would have an open hole above the value here. And this is less than, so we'd point this direction. This one, it's a range, so we've got -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. Oops, yeah. So above the -1, I've got a closed hole because of this symbol, and above the 2, it's going to be an open hole, and we just join those up with a line.
Miss Harrison?
Yes.
For A and B, does it matter how long the
No. It can be as long, you could have done it all this way, or you could have just done a tiny little one, as long as it's pointing in the right direction. Obviously, don't do something that's like this. We can't tell you've actually got a line. You need to be able to see it. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Right, I'm really going through this quickly. Now, when there's two separate like this, you're going to have two different portions to your, oh gosh, I need to extend page. Can I extend page? Oops. Okay. Am I still sharing my screen? Oh, I hit stop sharing. My entire screen. Okay, I think I'm back. Am I back? Okay. Right, now I've lost the document. All right, so here I've got two separate things. So I've got -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here I'm less than -1, okay, so I've got, or equal to, so I've got a closed in hole here at the -1, and it's less than, so it points this direction. This one is greater than 5, so at 5 I've got, because of this symbol, it's an open hole, and it's greater than. So can you see these two are never going to meet, because this one's going this direction, this one's going that direction. So you're going to have a big gap in between, okay? Only when they look like this are you going to have a range that looks like that, okay? Solving inequalities. Now, if you remember, this is very, very similar to just normal solving equations. I'm just going to fly through it. So here, because we've got 3x plus 7, and we need to solve, which means that we're going to end up with x as our final statement. We have to do the opposite, so we're going to subtract 7 from both sides. Some of you are forgetting to do it to both sides. Was someone saying something then? No? Yes? Okay. So here we would have 3x, and we keep this symbol here. We mustn't change it to an equal sign. So this would now be 21. And then normal solving equations, we would undo the multiply by 3, so we would divide by 3. They cancel to give us just x, and this symbol, and then this value is 7. So our answer is x is less than 7. That's it. Okay, that's all we would do. So we're solving it as we would a normal equation. It just has a different symbol. Okay, not an equal sign.
Would there be questions where it would tell you to work that out and then put it onto like a number?
Yes. So some of the questions on the worksheet were saying solve and display this on a number line. So then what you would do is here, you would perhaps have 5, 6, 7. Wow, those numbers are really shocking. So you might have 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, it's this symbol, so it's an open hole. It's less than, so there we go. That's our displaying on a number line. Okay. Right, this one here is a little bit different because the issue is that our x has got this sign in front of it. Okay, so I went through.
Listen, I have a question.
Yes.
So for the number line, does it matter what numbers you write?
No, as long as you have this one here and a 1 or 2 either side, it's fine. Okay. So can you just see this screen? You can't see me anymore. Is that right?
No, we can see you. Well, I can see you. I can see you on the side.
Oh.
Yeah.
I see.
I can see both.
I can't see anyone. Okay, all right. Well, you've got more things than you can see more than I can. Okay, anyway. So 15 minus 2x. So here's the issue here. We've got a minus sign here, okay? So we have to be careful. So we can subtract 15 from both sides. Lovely. Okay? And then we've got to remember that this negative sign belongs to this 2x. So we've got negative 2x. And then 1 take away 15 is negative 14. Okay, now can anyone remember what happens now?
So, can I go?
I don't know who that is, but sure.
Anyway, okay. Then you divide by -2 on both sides.
Good.
And then the answer would be x is greater or equal to 7.
Oh, so close.
-7.
You have to change. Yeah, you have to change the symbol around.
Good. Was that you, Amani?
Yeah.
Okay. When we divide by a negative number, this is the only thing that's different with inequalities compared to normal equations. Normal equations, it wouldn't matter, okay? Normal equations, it would just be an equal sign. But when we're using inequalities, if this number you're dividing by here is negative, then this symbol, all that happens is it just changes direction, okay? So these cancel. One second. So we would have x is less than or equal to, and then we would have the value of positive 7, because negative 14 divided by negative 2 is positive 7. Yes, Emily.
It was me.
Oh, sorry. M squared, sorry.
Yeah. Can't you do it the other way where you change all of first?
Yes. But remember, if you decide to change all the signs, you would have negative 15 plus 2x But that's where you also have to change the direction of the symbol. Okay? So if you are going to use that method, you must make sure you change this direction. Okay? Everyone clear on that? Is there anyone like, what on earth is she on about?
So, is it just whenever you're dividing by a negative, you switch the sign?
Yes, that's exactly when we do it. Okay?
What if, Miss Harrison?
Yeah, I can see you all now, yeah.
What if one of the numbers are negative? Does it still switch the signs?
Okay, so if this had said negative 2x is greater than or equal to 14, okay, we would still need to divide by negative 2 because that's the value in front of the x, okay? So this would be negative 2. So that means we have to change the direction of this, okay? But our answer would happen to be 14 divided by negative 2, which is negative 7. So the only effect would be the fact that it would be a different value here. Now, if it had said 2x is greater than or equal to negative 14, we only need to divide by 2, not negative 2, okay? So we don't have to do anything with the sign. It still stays in that direction, and this would be negative 7. Okay, so the only time we change the direction of the symbol is when this number on the bottom is negative.
Okay.
Okay, are we all good with that? Yes, Tresbians. Okay, right, now we're moving. So, Jasmine, how's that all been? Okay, have you done this before?
No, I have not.
Did it make sense?
Not really.
Oh, shiver me
We'll
timbers.
probably just go over it
Okay.
another time.
Okay. I mean, you've done solving equations, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so did the solving part seem okay?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, we just need to make sure that you're comfortable with the representing stuff. And when you start looking at the questions, it should, and you can compare them to the answers. You can just check them and make sure you're understanding. But if you need some help, obviously you all know that there's that help session at the end of each day.
Yeah.
Yeah, where you can come to Harrison office and you can just ask me any questions that you might have. Okay.
Okay.
Right, okay, so now moving on to the stuff that we got to for the end, at the end of last time. So we should all have these sheets in our packs. The only difference here is that sometimes you're going to have something in the middle and you're going to have two inequality signs, okay? It's really straightforward, she says. Hoping you agree with me. So all you have to do is split the question into two parts. So you're going to focus on this half as one equation, and then this half as the other. Okay, so obviously this piece in the middle is going to be repeated, and that's the only part that needs repeating. Okay. So what we then do is once we've rewritten our two questions, we're going to solve them as we normally would. But what I've said here is that we need to try and keep the x in the middle. So we're used to moving the x to the left-hand side because that's where we're most comfortable with it. But we want to try and make sure that we keep it in the middle. Okay. So here I'm going to follow this first one. So -1 is less than or equal to 3. Ooh, gosh, that's dodgy. Plus 2. Okay, so we need to try and get our x on its own. So our weakest bond is the plus 2. So we need to do the opposite operation. So that's subtract 2 from both sides. Okay, so we've got -1 take away 2 is -3. And now we've just got the 3x. Okay, because we took away the 2. The next step here. Is the value in front of the x negative? No, so we don't need to worry about changing any signs. We just need to divide both sides by 3. So that then disappears. Keep the sign the same direction, and this would be -1. All right, so that's that equation. Now I'm going to do this one. So we've got 3x plus 2 is less than or equal to 17. So both sides we're going to take away 2. So that's 3x is less than or equal to 15. And then divide both sides by 3. They disappear. So we've got x is less than or equal to 5. Okay. Now, because we've kept the x in the middle, it means that that's now easy to bring those solutions back together. And what I mean by that is, I'm going to write it above it, even though it says underneath it. So we've got -1 and then 5. Okay, because my x doesn't need to be repeated. I've just got this value here and this value here. How do we feel about that? Good? Most people are good?
So you're basically just bringing the two together and just getting one instead of two.
Wait, can you go back to the thing?
No. I'm kidding.
And I have another question.
Yeah?
So what if the other sign isn't that way?
No, they always will be. So if you remember, when we're talking about ranges, so going back to those original things here, okay, these ranges will always have the symbol pointing in the same direction. Okay? Because if they don't, then they would have to be written like this, as two separate statements. Okay? So in the same way as that we split it to do the question, we then just merge them back together for the final answer.
Miss Harrison?
Yes.
Abby's laptop just died, and she told me she's plugged it in. She wanted me to tell you that it died. So.
Okay, roger that. Thank you.
Miss Harrison?
Yeah.
Can you quickly go up to the equation that's like mixed up together?
The original question?
Yeah, right there. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay. All right. So.
Wait, Miss Harrison?
Yes.
Wait, so 3x plus 2 is part of the equation that's less than or equal to, like, yeah.
Yeah, so because this is in the middle, it gets repeated. Okay, so what we've done is we've just taken the red half here and the blue half is here.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to the next page. This is our final page. Okay, so this is going to be super simple. So super similar as before. So we're going to have this half first. So we've got -7 2x plus 5. And then our other half is going to be 2x plus 5 is less than or equal to 1. Okay, so we just took the central part and repeated it. Now we're going to deal with them separately. So we're going to not worry about this one. We're just going to look at this one. So our first thing to do is going to be to subtract the 5, because remember we need to isolate the x. So -7 take away another 5 is -12. And then 2x, but we only want 1x, so we have to divide by 2. And -12 divided by 2 is -6. Okay, and remember we don't need to change the symbol because this number we're dividing by wasn't negative. Okay, it was just +2. So that's 1/2 done. Now we're going to
I have a question.
Yes.
Why is the greater, like, the less than or equal to sign, like, you have to add?
I didn't mean to. Good spot. I was just checking that everyone was awake. And you were the only one that was awake, Imani. Good shout. Okay? And that is actually important. Some of you are changing your signs to different ones. You mustn't do that. Okay, so this one here, very similar. Focus on the x. We need to isolate that. So we take away 5 from both sides. So 2x and 1 take away 5 is negative 4. And then divide both sides by 2. So we get x is less than or equal to negative 2. And then our final step is that we just bring them together. So we've got negative 6. X is in the middle. And then negative 2 here. Okay? Now, I'm not going to talk about this just now. And I might look at it next lesson. Is there anyone that needs some help with that? Abby, you're back. Or is she not? Okay, she's just ignoring me. That's awkward. Are we all good? Okay, so going back to the Google Classroom. There were these worksheets here. Okay, now I'm going to suggest, which is the one that I wanted you to have a look at. I'm going to suggest that you have a look at this exercise, this, what's it called? Yeah, worksheet. Okay, don't worry about the first one. Okay, I mean, you can do it if you want to. It's just putting less than, greater than, or equal signs in. Okay, so if you want to, that's fine. I just want you to have a go at a few of these questions just to make sure that you are understanding. So see here that the symbols are different. So this one is closed, this one's open. It does make a difference, okay? These ones you've been asked to solve them and show the result on the number line. So you have to solve them in the ways that we've just been talking about, okay? And then put them on a number line. These ones are solving. Okay, when we see brackets, what do we do when we see brackets and when we've got equations? Anyone?
Using the bracket math.
Pardon what?
Bid math.
Yeah.
No, you.
Well, but
You do it bracket first, right?
I didn't
Don't
hear
you
that.
expand them?
Yeah, you expand the brackets. So we would expand the brackets. Here we can see we've got x's on different sides, so we need to make sure they're on the same side. So we would have to look to see, remember, look to see which way you've got the most x's. So for this question here, for example, I've got 6 x's on this side and only 2 here. So I would subtract 2x from both sides to focus on this one here. Okay. So that's solving inequalities. You don't have to do anything other than solve these ones. And then these ones, they've said solve the inequality. So this one is just a straightforward x. Okay, so we don't actually need to do anything for this one, but they've asked us to list the integers in each set. So for this one, it's like that first part we were looking at today, or we're reviewing today. So we're not allowed to include the 4, but we would have 5 and 6. So this question here, you would literally just need to write 5 and 6. Okay, this one again, you don't need to do any solving as such. You just need to write the numbers. And the same for these ones. This one here, you do need to do some solving because look, we've got x's going on here. Now there's no x's here, but we do have some x's here. Okay, so just have a look at some of those questions and see if you can have a go at them. If you want to challenge yourself, you can try some of these ones, but I wouldn't worry too much about them. And the answers are all here for you to have a look at. So don't panic if you're not sure. Use the answers if it helps. Okay. Now, there are lots of worksheets, okay? This one here has got a few of the ones that we were looking at today with the double inequalities. And as always, it's got the answers to everything at the end, okay? We'll talk about some of these application questions next time I see you all. But for now, you just need to have a look at some of these worksheets. Now, obviously, if you can't print it, it's not an issue. You just need to be able to look at them on the screen, and you can just write them on binder paper. Okay, you don't have to rewrite the whole question, but just write stuff on binder paper. All right? Is there any questions that anyone's got?
When do we have to finish this all?
Well, so you need to try some of those questions obviously, remember when we're doing stuff in class, I never expect you to do the whole worksheet. Okay?
Okay.
So same thing goes here. If you think that you did really well in those quizzes, then you're not going to need to do very much. Not going to need to do very much work on those questions. More just the ones that we were doing now. Oh, Maya, bless her heart. So don't worry too much. Don't do millions of questions, but you just need to practice as many as you can, or as many as you think that you need to, in order to make sure you understood it. Okay.
And also, you're gonna give us our quizzes like that.
Well, yes, I'm trying to decide what the best thing to do is. Vintage. Are you there?
Yes.
Did you get the feedback that I sent you on yours?
I'm not sure. I can check.
So I actually managed to go through and I just made comments on Vintages because she submitted it as a Google Doc. I think that my issue is that some of you, when you uploaded them as photos, which is what I asked you to do, so I'm not telling you off for doing it. When you upload them as photos, my email inbox is getting full because it's had so many big files sent to me. So I'm going to need it put on a Google Doc, for example, and submitted in the Google Classroom. And then I can look at it online and I can make comments to you. So any work that I ask you to do and show me, I'm going to need you to do it that way rather than email me photos. Is everyone good with that? Okay. As I say, otherwise, because my inbox is just crazy big with all these emails that are being sent to me, all these pictures. So if you can just upload them onto a Google Doc and then submit it that way. Okay. So in answer to that, I think maybe what I'll do is I'll try and find a way of commenting to you on things you got right and wrong. And hopefully that will work. Okay. Are we all good?
Miss Harrison,
Who said that? Indigo, yes.
for the says like pick the correct symbol. How do we know what the correct symbol is going to be?
Well, are the two numbers equal to each other? Or is one of them smaller than the other one? Does that make sense now? Kelsey is good. Jasmine's good. Amelie, is Amelie, is that your raised hand from ages ago that I didn't see?
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Abby, are you there? Hannah's good. Okay, Abby's good. Okay. All right. I think that's it. Hopefully this Vintage, your mic is on. Yeah. Hopefully this screen recording's worked. I don't know. So I will try and upload it as a YouTube video. Yeah, those girls I asked to stay behind. If you can just stay on a little bit and hopefully we'll have the rest of the videos saved for you. Okay. All right, ladies. It's been lovely seeing you.
Thank you.
See you next lesson.